Mr. K.K. Mistry, Vice Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of HDFC in London for the HDFC Home Loan Fairs. And we have a lot to pick on your mind, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.
So first of all, how do you see London now in the change scenario of Brexit, where the negotiations are still not happening, and what makes you bring therefore HDFC here?
We have a lot of non-resident Indians living in London, and a lot of them historically look to buy property back home in India. So this is really an opportunity for them to look at buying something in India. And particularly after Brexit, the UK pound has fallen a little bit, so that makes it more attractive.
So it makes it interesting actually because the conversion is great. Okay, so does in any way London or UK changes for India for the positive or the negative after Brexit?
See, my sense is from an economic standpoint, India is the impact on India because of Brexit is very limited. There is no direct impact. Maybe an indirect impact could perhaps have happened, and the impact could have happened in terms of stock markets, or it could have happened in terms of a weakening of the currency. When I say currency, I mean emerging market currencies, which would then include India. So historically, we've seen that whenever some sort of uncertainty comes about in the world, be it Brexit, be it something else, the US dollar tends to appreciate, gold tends to appreciate, Japanese yen tends to appreciate, and emerging market currencies tend to depreciate. And then that results in outflow of money from stock markets and so on and so forth. So we did see that for a short while, but very honestly, it was a very, very short while. And I think why India has become perhaps more attractive after Brexit happened is that now there seems to be a conviction globally that most economies, most countries will keep interest rates very low for an extended period of time.
Right.
And because of that, India offers a very, very good opportunity for investment. So we've seen actually stock markets fell a little bit for a couple of days after Brexit, but after that they bounced back. And bounced back to levels higher than what they were before Brexit.
Oh, so it could turn out to be, I mean, you mean to say that the bubble really has burst and there is more stability that one is expecting after Brexit in the very layman terms?
So it's not only Brexit, it's also a fact that the Indian economy per se is very vibrant at the moment. We've seen a lot of activity. We've seen some pickup in the private investment cycle. We've seen very good monsoons this year. And if you really move around in India, you will see that particularly in the urban market, there is so much of vibrancy. Hotel occupancy rates are high. Restaurants are doing well. Shopping malls are crowded on weekends. Airports are all full. Flights, if you see, most flights are full. So you see a lot of consumption taking place. The rural economy for the last couple of years has been a little sluggish, largely because we've had poor monsoons in the past.
Yes.
But this year the monsoons have been extremely good. Plus the government has increased spending in rural areas, which was what was indicated in the last budget. So a combination of government spending in rural areas, good monsoons, and the pay commission hike which happened will create more money in rural areas. So the general expectation is that whilst the urban economy has been strong, rural economy a little weak, now the rural economy will also start bouncing back. And then a combination of increased demand from the rural and the urban economy will lead to more investments taking place, private sector investments.
You have brought me to the Indian economy, and I think there's so many talking points on it. One being the GST and the ease of doing business that the Prime Minister is really, really focusing on. What impact do you think that would have, and have you seen a resonance of positivity now that you're in the UK?
There is definitely, HDFC is listed in India, but we have a number of foreign investors. So 77% of HDFC is held overseas. So we have clearly seen in the last few months, I would say the last probably 6 months or so, that there is so much of renewed interest in investment in India. So GST is one of the reforms which the government's carrying out, but apart from GST, the core economic growth is picking up.
So thank you very much, sir. More and more businesses now looking to India. Very pertinent point made by Mr. Mistry is that while the global economy is falling, the Indian economy is rising, and not only it's the contrast, but in itself, the economy is very vibrant with specific specific focus on GST and ease of doing business, and also the fiscal deficit coming down, many other factors that have made brand India at this point in time very attractive. And shows like this also say another proof that this is what is happening with brand India, where there's more interest in India, and India is taking more interest in the UK despite Brexit. In fact, that could be a silver lining for them. I'm here with Rajesh Agrawal, who is the Deputy Mayor for Business in London, and a very important position that he's taken over, and now in the HDFC show. And UK is, thank you very much, first of all, Rajesh, for talking to us.
Pleasure.
It's a very opportune as well as very uncertain moment for the UK and for London, which is the financial hub. How do you see London progressing from the business point of view, and how are you selling it?
Well, first of all, let me make it clear that London is the best place in the whole world to do business, and Brexit will not change that. We'll continue to be the best place to do business in the whole world. We are the financial capital of the world. We are #1 in tourism. We receive more tourists than any other city in the whole world. We've got more universities than any other city in the world. We are the food capital of the world. So London is not just about financial services, but it's actually a very, very wide city, and it does a lot of things. So that will not change. Of course, these are challenging times, but everything is up for negotiations, and we've got to make sure that London is open, and London is open for business. London is open for new ideas, new technology. London is open.
Yes, definitely. And what are your steps for making that pitch to the world that London is open for business? Do you have any 1, 2, 3 steps as a part of making it an entity and a brand for the world now?
Well, it has been for centuries. London has been a global trading hub. Yeah. People come from all walks of life. People come here to study, to visit, and so on. From India, we have had Mahatma Gandhi, the first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, Bhimrao Ambedkar, who wrote the Constitution of India. We're all educated in London. And education is one of the sort of big exports of London. So the pitch is that we continue to remain open. So the message is that of reassurance, that look, regardless, it's not a result that we wanted. Frankly, most of the businesses wanted to remain in, but this is democracy, and sometimes you get results, and you have to honor that. But we now have to make the most of the situation that we are in. And I think, look, there are two things that are coming up repeatedly whenever I speak to businesses. One is they want continued access to single market. Number two, particularly for the financial services firm, they want to have continued access to passporting rights, which means that if you are FCA authorized, if you've got a license in the UK, you can actually cater to the customers from across Europe, and that should continue. So this is all up for negotiation, because look, I mean, even with the financial services firms, we've got more American banks in London than in New York. So there's no reason why London will not continue to be the best global city in the whole world to do business.
Absolutely, and that's really, really important, I think, for us Indians who are living as a diaspora in this community. So the Deputy Mayor Business, Mr. Rajesh Agrawal, insists that London still is open for business, and the real example, the proof of the pudding, is this HDFC fair, which has been oversubscribed 4 times over, and they have been coming everywhere. So many such examples. Still uncertain time, still time for negotiation, but it looks like that London still should retain its power of business. Mrs. Renu Karnad, who is the Managing Director of HDFC, all the way from India to London, bringing the India Homes Fair here. So thank you very much for your time, Renuji. First question, of course, why and how much is there an interest amongst the diaspora here for you to bring HDFC Home Fair every year?
So, very honestly, when we started 9 years ago, it was a great hit. Yes, in the last 2-3 years, we do see a little, subdued interest.
Okay.
I think partly also it was because of the fact that the currency was also against, buying homes in India. Also, I think people themselves were not so comfortable of what may happen. This whole thing of, Brexit was there. How is it going to affect them? And it's been going on for some time. So that had made, the exhibitions a good place for people to come, look. But not so many transactions were happening. I see a big change this time, and I see a huge interest.
What are you expecting from this fair this year?
I'm very hopeful for this fair this year, because what I'm hearing, I think the people who are going to be coming in here are going to be more serious buyers, because as normally when something happens, it's the newness of it. A lot of people walk in just to see, very often with the idea that well, let me go have a look. I don't need to buy a home for the next 3-4 years. Over time, people who are coming in are more serious buyers, or more serious lookers, I should say. And I personally think the timing is very good, in terms of, had it been before the Brexit, the uncertainty would have been huge there.
I'll end up with the last practical questions for people who are watching this. That if your origins have been in India, but you have become a British citizen, you want to buy a house in India, how do you stand with getting a loan or not?
Okay. So if your parents or any of your 4 grandparents have an Indian passport, or rather are Indians, you can take a loan. There is no stopping.
Even if you're a British citizen?
Even if you're British citizens. Just what you need to get is a PIO card. A lot of them have the PIO card. Now there is a new avatar of the PIO card, which is called the OCI card. So if you have the OCI card or the PIO card, you can take a loan from HDFC, or for that matter from any bank, even if you're a completely British citizen, born here, been here. That's no problem, as long as one grandparent is of Indian origin.
And is not necessarily living there, but you just have to be of Indian origin.
Yes. They can be living anywhere, as long as they are Indian passport holders and they're of Indian origin.
Brilliant. That's really, really practical. Thank you. Very practical information here, that if your grandparents are of Indian origin, and even if you are a British citizen, you have an OCI card, which now has been the prevalent card rather than PIO, then you are eligible even to get a loan from India, and that should not be a problem. So here you are. India is at your beck and call. It's an economy that is booming, and one can always have their roots, go back to the root feeling there. So HDFC here is to just provide you that.